How would you like to be driving a brand new Honda CR-V? Well, just by signing up for RevVoice, you'll be automatically entered to win. The Honda CR-V is one of the highest rated cars in its class, an unbeatable value for safety, comfort, and style. It's got plenty of storage for everything you need to carry, and looks great inside and out. So, upgrade your home phone today, and you just might upgrade your life with a brand new Honda CR-V from Nassau Motor Company, worth more than $42,000. Call us to sign up for RevVoice before January 26th. RevVoice, the better choice.
You're tuned into NB12, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, web shop owners and employees march on Parliament. Why the Prime Minister called it a good thing. The Vote No team reacts to the march, and police hold a poll of their own. We've got those stories and so much more coming up. I'm Nikia DeVoe, and NB12 starts right now. Once again to NB12. Numbers houses throughout New Providence were shut down for more than 6 hours today as the Vote Yes committee took its message to Rawson Square. For the first time, web shop bosses and thousands of their employees united publicly to march from Market Street to downtown Nassau. Their aim is to show the country that by voting yes, they will save the jobs of thousands of Bahamian workers. Vonik Toot reports.
Dressed in Vote Yes t-shirts and web shop uniforms, more than 1,000 web shop workers took Bay Street by storm this morning. They're hoping to put a face to those numbers houses that could either be shut down or regulated after referendum day. In a show of solidarity, numbers bosses, including Craig Flowers of FML, Sebas Bastian of Island Luck, Pete DeVoe of Percy's Web, and Davon Jones of Woodfall, marched from Market Street to Rawson Square hand in hand. But it wasn't your typical march. Members of the various Junkanoo groups rushed alongside web shop workers, who waved placards and chanted, "Save our jobs." Responding to claims that they have inflated employment numbers to appeal to voters, web shop owners say they wanted to prove to the Vote No committee and the public that there are, in fact, thousands of Bahamian workers who desperately need their jobs to feed their families. In fact, Flowers claimed that had it not been for police restrictions, today's crowd would have been much bigger.
In our discussions previously, there was an enormous amount of doubts in the minds of so many of the supporters of the no vote. We have cut our support who wanted to be here on Bay Street almost in half this morning for the purpose of the police to be able to control the crowds.
This is a real business. Well, you know, we've been talking that there isn't 3,000 people in this business, but I think today demonstrates that it's much more than 3,000 to be a fact.
These people really depend on us to keep their livelihoods going on a day-to-day basis. And as you can see, these are real live employees you can touch and feel. They're not holograms. And, you know, you never know the importance of a job until you are left without one.
We want to fight for Bahamian jobs and for Bahamians to do whatever they want in this country.
Web shop workers say they sat back in silence for months as everyone from pastors to politicians debated the pros and cons of gambling. They say now is the time to speak out.
I decided to march this morning to save my job for my college fee.
My kids got to eat. I'm employed with Island Luck, so my kids got to eat. That's why I'm marching.
And how long have you been working with Island Luck?
I've been working with Island Luck now 7 months.
And what's your take on this whole debate over whether or not web shops should be regulated?
My take on it, honestly, Bahamians need to do what they got to do. And this is how some of us feed our children. You know, we can't go to the church and say, well, give me $900 for $1.
Look in the back of me. Where in the world will we could find Bahamian people come together as one?
Are you employed by a web shop?
No, I'm not. But I gamble at a web shop. Island Luck, I love it.
Dozens of police officers were also here in Rawson Square to maintain law and order. However, one outraged voter says they should instead be spending this time arresting the owners and employees of what she called illegal businesses.
Police commissioner, all of them should have arrested these people long time ago. Illegal is illegal any part of the world you go. Why is these people still out here and they're not arrested? Their money's supposed to be confiscated. Bahamian people cannot sell things in their front yard. It's illegal. Before they be shut down by the police and even locked up enough to pay bail. And so why are these people out and they all over the place for 50 workers?
And at the end of the day, these people, I think, ought to come back to Parliament after the vote is defeated and lay the blame of that at the feet of the government.
Despite strong opposition to the Vote Yes campaign, Reverend Philip McPhee of Mount Calvary Baptist Church says he will be voting yes on Monday and plans to travel the country this week to spread their message.
Because I think it's the right thing to do. The Bahamian people need to see the strength and the numbers of those who are employed by the web shop industry. And I'm sure that the Bahamas now is totally aware of the power of the people.
Numbers houses were closed until 2 this afternoon to allow workers to participate in this morning's march. However, web shop bosses say they aren't concerned about losing money. Right now, it's about jobs and votes. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Tude.
Prime Minister Perry Christie was forced to take an alternate route to Parliament this morning as a result of the Vote Yes march. However, he called it a wonderful expression of democracy. He noted that he was criticized by the Vote No committee, which suggested that he was repeating inaccurate employment figures provided by web shops without checking the facts. However, Christie says workers came out today to show voters that they do exist.
If there's a debate as to whether they exist, I guess this is a statement to show that they exist. But this is wonderful for our democracy too. I mean, you know, that people are free to come out here. Sometimes they come out here against us. Sometimes they come out here for us. Sometimes they come out here just to make a statement for themselves. This is what I think the democracy is growing, and whether one wants to argue against it or for it, the fact that we have had a referendum, we're going to have another referendum later this year. Yes, they are expensive propositions, but it deepens the democracy.
Christie also rejected claims that Monday's referendum is payback for the PLP's alleged financial backers. He insisted that his government cannot be bought.
If we were being sponsored by them, I wouldn't come to Parliament. I would have come here as a sovereign government in a sovereign country and pass the laws without having to go through all of this, or all of what we're doing. And so, you know, I mean, you can't buy my government, you can't buy me. I mean, it's a silly kind of thing to say in a country where political donations are lawful. But in any event, listen, I have to go to Parliament. This is a wonderful day in the Bahamas.
Well, pastors of the Save Our Bahamas Committee, who are encouraging Bahamians to vote no, say today's march organized by web shop bosses was a travesty. They say while they were not concerned about the numbers, suggesting many of the participants were paid to be there, they say it sends the message to Bahamians that crime has no consequence.
What was allowed to happen today will be tremendously difficult to reverse in the mind of everybody else who says if you give Flowers and Sabas a pass, you better have minds ready. Please find the person who has been assigned the job as commissioner of police of this country, because other police commissioners are asking and scratching their head. How could people who are breaking the law openly march downtown, take over your Parliament Square, and declare, touch me if you can? That's what that was. They have declared war on law and order in the Bahamas. We call on our commissioner, please find the courage to carry out the law, sir.
There seems to be a disconnect from what's going on here in New Providence. The blatant lawlessness that we see throughout the course of this whole process is a wonderment to them.
The Vote No camp believes its campaign is being well received by Bahamians. They are traveling to Bimini tonight, Andros tomorrow, and have mass rallies scheduled for Friday night at R.M. Bailey Park. Well, scores of Bahamians turned out for a frank discussion with some of the major figures surrounding the upcoming gaming referendum last night, shedding light on a number of questions the electorate still wants answered before they cast their votes. This as a government minister last night admitted that the Christie administration could have done more to educate the Bahamian people before they head to the polls. Christina McNeil has more in this report.
I think that in hindsight, hindsight is 20/20, and I do believe that we could have done a better job in terms of education. There's no question about it. At the same time, Bahamians are very intelligent people. There's no question about it in my mind. And everyone knows that, we have had the illegal numbers business in the country for more than half a century, perhaps.
Absolutely.
And everyone around us knows the pros and cons.
Minister of State for National Security Keith Bell last night conceded that government could have done more in regard to a public education program in the run-up to next week's poll. It was one of the revelations made during last night's town hall meeting on the gaming referendum held at the College of the Bahamas auditorium. Attendees were hungry for answers, including those related to January 29th, the day after the referendum. If there is a yes vote, people want to know what the regulations governing web shop operations will be. If there is a no vote, Bahamians want to know how police will begin the process of shutting down those same businesses. Panelist and Gaming Board Chairman Dr. Andre Rollins agreed with Bell that more could have been done to give Bahamians sufficient answers to those questions before going to the polls, and posed this question to the crowded auditorium.
I'm of the view, as my colleague is, that we could do more to provide further information. But this, in my personal view, should never stop government from dealing with a problem that it knows it has. So are we to now indefinitely postpone a referendum because we don't have all of the details, although this
Well, the referendum is still set to go on Monday, January 28th, but according to former Progressive Liberal Party Chairman and attorney Raynard Rigby, the entire process has the Bahamian people at a disadvantage, as they don't know how web shop operations will be regulated if there is a yes vote.
Rule of law speaks broadly to a process which allows members of the public in a democracy to have the benefit of information, so that when they make a decision, they could make an informed decision. This process does not allow and has not afforded the Bahamian people, members of the electorate, to make an informed decision.
In the months leading up to the referendum, we've heard from church leaders speaking out on both sides of the issue, both for and against regulating gaming for Bahamians. But it was the voice of a community activist that said it best, has this issue divided the church.
Mr. Major, would you not agree that since the number campaign began, that your organization has divided the house of God? That Teresa Moxie is no longer saved, Simeon Hall and McPhee on their way to Jericho. They run into Craig Flowers and Sabas, and they abandon Jesus Christ. Isn't that an example of the negative effect of the number racket?
Despite a poor showing at the advance poll earlier this week, a strong voter turnout is still expected on Monday, when the will of the Bahamian people will be made known in regard to web shop gaming and a national lottery. More than 170,000 Bahamians are registered to vote. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.